big welcome to you. It's great to have you join. I am going to be doing a bit of a color and chat in this video. I'm going to be coloring out of Circle of Life by Melpomene Chatsipana Giotto, and I have been asked to show you how I would do the spider page. I'm going to be using a mixture of media from Neocolor 2s, polychromos, possibly ink tints. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I just really have a fancy for coloring with my wet medium. So with this coloring page, I want to use Neocolor 2s. I'm going to first work on some of the leaves and the branches. I'll do a couple of the spiders and then maybe some of the background, and I will finish the page off camera, and this will just give you an idea of how I plan on interpreting this page. So I'm going to zoom you in so you get a bit more of a idea of where I'm going and how I'm planning on doing this. And then I'm just going to chat. Okay, so what I've found with my Neocolor 2s, especially because these are very small spaces, I'm just going to pick up the pigment off with my water brush. I'm not in the mood for anything fancy today, so I'm just going to use a water brush, and I'm going to lightly apply my color, and I'm just going to randomly put it down. Right, so I thought that we could have a chat about getting out of a coloring slump. Now, as some of you may know already, I spent a large majority of June and July really struggling with my coloring. I don't really know what happened. I do know I felt really overwhelmed in my personal life. There was a lot going on, and as a result, it did begin to affect my coloring. So I got myself quite worked up, and I've worked out recently that's a very sure sign of stress. I get worked up, I start to lose sight of things. It's very easy to start comparing myself to other people, and I had to really focus on how do I get out of that? How do I approach coloring and as a hobby again? So this video, I'm going to just talk about what I found and what I discovered, and by no means does this mean I have found the cure to all coloring slumps and will never experience one again, because that would be very foolish of me to say so. I am going to experience coloring slumps, and I might come with different ideas on how to get out of them in different phases of life. However, I think coloring slumps are things we all go through, and we all have to figure out our way out of them. For some of us, what I'm about to share with you, what I found, may be helpful, and for some of you it may not be helpful, and that's okay. So if you find my video unhelpful, please feel free to skip and not watch it, skip it, or find a different video on the channel that is more suited to your interests. Right, so when I had my coloring slump, the first thing I had to do was really take stock of where I was. So I began to look at my emotional state and my life and see what was going on at that time. And there was a lot going on. There were quite a few things going on in the family that needed my attention, and they were important to deal with. They were important to be there for my family, and none of it was a train smash or anything like that. It was just a busy time. So that was my first thing. I had to look at my life and say, okay, what is happening here that is affecting me? How is it affecting me? And what do I need to do about it? So I then just acknowledged those things to myself. And then I had to think, okay, now how is this affecting my coloring journey? And for me, it was really a case of I started comparing myself a lot to other people, and I had high expectations. And that wasn't really helping. In fact, that was adding to my stress. And at this point, you might be saying, well, yeah, of course it is. That's pretty obvious. But when you're in a place of a lot of stress, it's not always that easy or that obvious, because you end up not seeing the wood from the trees, so to speak. And that's what I was experiencing. I had far too much cortisol running through my body. As a result, it was affecting how I was eating and how I was sleeping. So it really was just becoming a vicious circle. So the first thing I had to do was just really try work on making sure I was sleeping right, that I was eating right, so healthy diet, exercise, no processed foods, reduce my carbs and sugars, eat more vegetables and fruit and protein. And from there, I would be able to eat things a bit better. And then I had to tell myself, okay, well, now it's really a case of just slowing down and just acknowledging that I don't have everything. I don't have to do as much as I think I need to do. I can slow down. I can breathe a bit. So I also told myself, okay, what do you like when you look at other people's colorings? What is it about them that you like? And I started to notice that sometimes there were things in other people's colorings that I didn't like or I did like, and then I decided to pick out a coloring page, and I said to myself, all right, so now just color in mindless coloring. Don't color in to impress anyone, don't color in to do anything like major artwork, just color because you love coloring. And so I picked up Nice Little Town 6 and I started working on an old whip. And from there, I just kept it simple. I picked out 100 Hugs by Chris Riddle, and I did the same thing. I just started to color the things that I wanted to color in the way I wanted to color. And I also told myself just to breathe, that not every single piece, not every single coloring page had to be a work of art, that it was okay to be simple and not strive. Now, for some of you, this might be things that are, for you understand, but for some of us, or if you're more like me, these are life lessons that aren't always natural or easy, and we can psychoanalyze it as much as we want, but sometimes we just need to breathe. We just need to acknowledge, hey, it's okay. It's okay to just relax. It's okay to do your best. Sometimes it's okay to not have the answers, or it's okay to pick things up and try something new. But I had been working myself into, I had too much on my plate. I was trying too hard in many areas. So I tied myself up into knots in more than one area. So I really needed to concentrate on unwinding myself. And these were things that I discovered. And the more I colored, just as mindless coloring, by deliberately choosing to not worry about whether it was going to turn out beautifully or worry about the outcome, but just enjoy the process, the more I tapped into the therapeutic side of coloring, which in itself really was a blessing and really helped me. And as that began to work, I then thought to myself, okay, well, what about a color along? Another, yeah, as in following someone else's coloring. And normally I don't do color alongs, not because I don't think that they're helpful, but because I really enjoy and want to have my own interpretations of pages and have my own ideas. But then I remembered that many of the great artists actually would spend, so I'm thinking like Picasso, I think Picasso, but Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, possibly Van Gogh or Van Gogh. I think what they did is they would spend years studying the famous artists of their time and their painting styles. So it wasn't that I had to get past this thing that copying or learning from someone else was a negative and meant that I didn't have any original ideas. So I picked up a couple of coloring videos, found the relevant pages, and I began to follow along. And I thought to myself, you know what, I need to come back to basics. And that's what I did, is I just took myself right back to the basics and treated myself as though I was coloring again for the first time. And these things just help to unlock me and remove this tangled emotional state I found myself in. And I felt my confidence return. I began to see on Instagram a couple of artists. They've been doing these sort of like reels or videos where they say, you know what, please copy our work. Just give credit, but copy it. It's an honor to create these beautiful inspirations or these works of art that inspire you. And all they really ask is that you just credit them, or you just do it for your own personal enjoyment. And this got me really thinking about all of this, and that actually it's okay. It's really okay to just not know how to do everything. It's okay to take my time. And the more I colored and focused on mindfulness and relaxation and just removing any unnecessary pressure, the more I was able to step into my coloring, and the less intimidated I began to feel about other coloring books that I wasn't yet ready for. And this is where I think it's really important for us to remember that when we are coloring, it's okay to have books that we are not ready for. It's okay to have coloring supplies that we're not ready for, because that's life. We're not ready for everything all in one go. Sometimes it does take time, and that process of being ready is part of it. So I really want to encourage you, like, if you feel that way, it's okay. If what I'm saying is resonating with you, then be encouraged, you're not alone. If it's not resonating with you, you really don't have to stay and watch the video. I don't do these videos for anything more than to just encourage people who are experiencing a similar thing. I don't expect to resonate with every single person. So I think it's really important for us to, just remind ourselves of the main thing. So what I did first was I took stock of my emotional well-being, what was happening in my personal life. I then had a look at my diet and my sleep patterns and my exercise, just to make sure I was still taking care of myself. Thirdly, I went back to basics. I picked up coloring books just for mindless coloring, and took the pressure off. I embraced learning from others again, and I even started watching beginner videos, so tutorials by other colorists aimed at beginners to help them to learn coloring. So I went back, and I'm still watching some of those, because I feel like as I watch these sort of tutorials, I'm learning that actually there are other ways of doing what I am hoping to do. And so I'm still learning, I'm still growing. I haven't got it all figured out, and that's okay. I don't have to have it all figured out. And then when I find myself overwhelmed again or busy in my own personal life, then it's just a case of telling myself it will pass. It's just a stage of life, and I tell myself to breathe and to be patient, because it will change. It's not going to last forever. And so those are some of the things that I have been doing to overcome coloring slumps. I hope that you found this all very helpful and encouraging. I hope that it inspires you to keep going in your coloring journey, and to not worry about those coloring slumps, but to just acknowledge them, face them. The other thing I just remembered, the other thing I also tried to do was just color in the things that I felt drawn to. So, don't fight it. If you end up with more whips, but you're in a coloring slump, and go back to coloring the things you really enjoy and you love. You can learn new techniques and new things later when that coloring slump has lifted. But for now, just do what you love. Do the things that are easy for you. So I found that also really helped to remove pressure. All right, so those are what I've been focusing on and how I've been trying to help myself out of a coloring slump. It's September, almost the end of September, and to be honest, September was a quiet coloring month, even though I'd hoped it would be a much more productive month. It hasn't been, and I'm really, really stressed and busy at the moment. There's a lot going on. The kids have a lot going on. They need my attention, they need my time, and yeah, it is slightly overwhelming. So I'm also making this video as a reminder to myself that it's going to turn out okay, and it's just the stage of life I'm in. I don't know if I'm going to finish like my goals. I wanted to do the coloring checklist challenge. I'm still going to try do it, but I don't know if I'm going to have it finished. And I think that that's okay. But for now, I'm just going to do what I can and just focus on coloring and enjoying the process. All right, everyone, I hope this has been encouraging and helpful to you. I'm going to carry on using polychromos pencils and carry on coloring these spiders, but I'm going to put the video to music, and I will Okay, so that is how our, if I move it out of the light, that's how our first spider looks. So I'm going to stop it here and I will get back to this page in another video for another chat. Until next time, everyone, take care and happy coloring. Bye for now.